nightmare meat. So I wanted to do a bit of a different video because I want to discuss an aspect of a role-playing game called Mage the Ascension. And one of the aspects of this game that I very often get questions about when playing, and that seems to be one of the most difficult aspects for a lot of my players to grasp, is actually paradox. A paradox is sort of the Achilles heel of the mages, just like vampires have their sunlight and werewolves have their silver. Mages have paradox. Now, what is paradox? Basically, paradox is the force of all the little minds around that create the universe, that are resistant to this uppity mage coming and deciding to change reality according to his or her will. And I just had this revelation when I was trying to explain it recently, that one good way to explain this could be to linken it to bullying. Because that's a topic I unfortunately have quite a bit of experience with. Now, I will just give a quick run through of what the game is about, but really this video is more for those of my friends that already play this game, or anybody who is watching that already play this game. So this is not a 101 to the game of Mage. Basically, what you have is that there are no hard and fast reality. Everything is flowing, basically. The sky is blue because people believe it is blue. Reality is created by self-conscious minds that believe in it, and when enough people believe in the same thing, that forms a consensus, area of belief, if you will. That way, for example, in the heart of the Bible Belt, for most, they're actually, the Earth is 6,000 years old, while in other parts of the world it's quite a few billion. Basically, there are no hard and fast truth. The game is very much based on chaos magic, which is one of the reasons why I like it so much. So, and then mages in this game are people that have realized this mind, heart, and soul, and as such, they can use their will to change reality. They can decide that, you know what, the sky isn't blue, it is purple. And they can do that. They can use their will and change that, because all of reality is just based on what will. It's based on what do you believe, and this sort of gives information to the base energy of the universe, quintessence. And when you then, when a stronger will comes in there and say purple, then purple it is. However, then all these other minds decide that, what? But it's blue! It's blue! And what happens then is that force hit the mage. That basically idea that, I have made the sky purple, but everybody else, every other mind thinks it's blue, and that crash into the mage. So here is sort of how I will link it into bullying. That might be a somewhat disturbing, but still a way to understand this concept. And if you hear any mowing, it's my cat wanting some attention. Basically, what we are, when you come to a situation when you have bullying, very often it is somebody who are different than the status quo. For example, a clique in school can have decided that no, everybody will wear the lightest fashion clothing, They will have this and this taste in music. They will have this and this sexuality. They will have this and this skin color. And then somebody comes along and are different than that. And that challenges that group's status quo. It's basically, let's say you have this preppy group that says, no, what we want to have is people wearing the newest fashions, that are interested in pop music, that are white and are straight. And in comes a black girl that's a lesbian dressed in goth that likes opera. And that then that group sort of says, but this challenges everything we are, everything that we have agreed on collectively to believe in. Everything that we collectively have defined as good is being challenged. And so they strike back at this individual that dare to challenge that dares to be different. And that strike back can be all from harsh words to actual physical attacks. And we see it in all sorts of situations, not just in school. You can see it if you are a woman and you behave in a way that are not that most people will not expect a woman to behave in. For example, I have always liked message boards and forums, and I very often choose nicknames that aren't necessarily directly feminine. So I debate, and people think that, oh, what you're saying is awesome. We like what you're saying. And then I somehow let it slip that I'm a woman. And then they go ballistic because no, then I'm bossy, I'm pushy, I'm a bitch because I am opinionated. I don't just sit in a corner and nod and are interested in fashion and makeup, and there's nothing wrong with being interested in fashion and makeup. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that it is a different way than these people believe. Our common consensus, our consensus about how a woman should be is such, and such. And when a woman steps out of that, then suddenly we have to attack that. We have to get her back in line. And basically, in the game of Mage, Paradox is exactly the same way. But of course, then we are not talking about music tastes and gender roles. We are talking about making the sky purple and tossing fireballs. But it's the same concept. You have a majority, a consensus, that has decided how reality is going to be. They don't necessarily consciously know that, and if you look at a group that will engage in bullying, they don't often know this either. They haven't sat down in some sort of council and decided, well, you know what, pink is the color this year, so if you're not wearing pink, then we can't really accept you. They haven't sitting down and discussed this. It's just sort of become that way within the group. And it's the same way people haven't sat down and discussed, oh, well, the sky is going to be blue. Blue is the color. But it's just become that. Now everybody knows the sky is blue. You know the sky is blue, right? And when people then challenge that, when people go in and do something with that, then they will immediately attack that. And they might not even know it themselves. And I mean, that is also a thing that I think we can learn something from playing the game of Mage when it comes to bullying. Because, yeah, sure, you have the stereotypical schoolyard bully that just enjoys making other people suffer. But to be honest, as somebody who was bullied to the point where I stood over a bathtub considering if I should kill myself, those weren't really the biggest problem. Because there was just a few of them, I could handle them, and I had the benefit that I'm big and strong. So yeah, they weren't really the big problem. The problem all the little things, all the little strike back for being different. And I mean, if you ask these people today if they were bullies in school, they would say, no, of course not, we weren't bullies. And I mean, that's exactly the same thing as within the game. If you ask people there, basically you manage to get them to accept that, yeah, okay, there's mages. And you ask them, yeah, did you know that you actually drove that mage over there? Yeah, him. That's covering in the corner and swatting at invisible butterflies right now. That guy, you drove him nuts. And then say, well, how did I do that? I haven't done anything to him. And it's basically the same concept that when that is the hidden bullying, because you don't see it as a form of bullying. You see it as it's seen as just basically people aren't even aware of it. It's just a strike back. And I mean, my mother, when she called my what is it in English? Homeroom teacher, basically the one that was the had the main responsibility for my class. And she told her that I was bullied to the point where I had a nervous breakdown. And the teacher's reply was, "But she's so strange." She saw it as perfectly acceptable that since I was so strange, of course the other kids would strike back at that, because it challenged that status quo. It challenged the agreed upon idea of what a little girl should be. And basically, you can see that is what paradox is in Mage. It is the minds of the many, the consensus, attacking and bullying the mind of the few that are different, that do and act and behave and are different than themselves. And as such, I think that both looking at bullying as a way to understand paradox in the game is beneficial to get a grasp on it, because we all know what bullying is, and it's a thing that we can relate to, the concept of the more it gets more gritty and down to earth than just looking at it as, oh well, you have some spiritual thing here and some spiritual thing there. Because that's one problem I often had with Mage when introducing players to this that are not necessarily interested in the occult as I am. That it's basically you are halfway through the explanation and the player has fallen asleep. But so basically it can be a way to get a very practical view on what paradox is. It's basically the mage is the different one. It's the different kid in school. It's the person that acts a bit differently in the workforce. It's that person that the teacher says, but she's so strange. And the paradox itself is that bullying, it is that strike back, it is that pushback to say, stop being so odd, stop acting on your different ideas. You need to stop that. You need to be like everybody else. Just in a spiritual term, and having more physical effects. And bullying can have physical effects, but it has more that, oh, suddenly you have plants growing out of your head, or you go insane, or you explode, instead of you get beaten up, or you get mentally broken down, or just simply excluded from having friends and fellowship. So it can be a useful way to look at the game to understand the concept of paradox easier. But I also think that playing Mage can be a way to, if you look at it that way, can be a way to understand bullying a bit. Because when that beloved character of yours has been hit with paradox a few times, you might be able to sit back and think just for a moment that perhaps that is how in the real world a person feels when they are hit and called names and treated badly because they behave in ways and act in ways and think in ways that are different from those around them. Because very often that's what bullying is. Well, of course, we can look at what's the reason for bullying. Some say it's jealousy, some say it's this. But very often, who is being bullied are the person that sticks out a bit, that are a bit different. So yeah, I hope you've enjoyed this video. Like I said, it's a bit different from what I usually do. But I still think it's an important topic, both to make people understand the game and to perhaps make people understand bullying. Hope you have a great day, and blessed be.